And in 3, 2, 1, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 69, 69 of the Prehistoric Podcast. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Francois Nation.
I'm Andrew Sorsdahl.
And today we have a very special guest with us. Hasn't been on since podcast 44. Feels like it was way more recent than that, but time fucking flies when you're having fun. What's your name?
A rancher's son.
Is that like, can you say that? Can you say it's that, like...
Jolly rancher's
I
son.
always never know how to like talk to people about you. Because they're always like, oh, who are you working with? And I'm like, oh, it's rancher's son. And they're like, what the fuck does that mean?
It's confusing.
And they're like, do you mean like literally a rancher's son? I'm like, oh, it's this guy. And then I always have to go on to, it's this guy who worked for Pitcher Creek. His name is Alex Shenton. He's a nice dude. Yeah.
That's me too.
That's him too.
Before all the music.
Yeah.
Before the tunes.
Before rock and roll.
The rock star lifestyle.
Mm.
That was, the story behind that VHS is, we're going to digitize it for you? That's the deal?
We were going to digitize it and use clips of it in Cease.
Oh, that definitely happened. For sure.
Yeah. There is a service that I've seen pop up on Facebook here and there. It's this guy who does digitization of stuff in Saskatoon, of old VHS and whatever shit.
That would be a very terrifying business to get into. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, to digitize a VHS, you need to get one of those machines that you put the tape into, and then it digitizes it, obviously. But, I mean, that fucking machine is a tape player, essentially. So it can fuck up just like any other tape player can. And tape players, they suck. Like, they'll like, if you don't get a good one, they'll fuck your fucking shit up.
They're hungry.
It's terrifying. Man, VHS sucked. What a thing.
I feel like video editing VHS would have been disheartening with your razor blade and your...
Yeah.
And you look at like some of the films that they put together that way, like they had patience.
Like editing was way more of an art form in that time than I feel like now it's very much more like a you're more of a computer guy, like a technical.
Well, now you can just do
more technical.
Anything.
It's like you have to have a creative eye, but it's very much like just being able to technically do shit. And back then it was like being able to like cut the thing in the way.
Oh, just like timing. You'd have to watch something a couple times and be like, okay, I'm gonna slice 4 frames off that, and you just have to be like, yeah, 4 frames will do it. And then you cut that off, and it's like then you'd lose some footage, and it's like, well, that's fucking. It's like
fucked her, bud.
And then it's and it's
back
like
to New Zealand to shoot.
Yeah, it was definitely
a terrifying thing.
That's like music back in the day too. Was a very similar. It's like the Foo Fighters recently. What was that one album? They really White Limo. I want to say no. White Limo was a song on Burning. I can't fucking remember. Anyways, whatever Foo Fighters album that came out, that White Limo, the song White Limo was on. It's pretty recent. I think they cut the whole thing, like GarageBand style. Like they had a fucking tape player in a garage, and then they just taped everything and then spliced it like that. And I think that's what when they had that album, they were like, "Look at us, we're so cool." I mean, they are cool, but.
Well, it was a resurgence. Like, there's actually a studio outside of Saskatoon, near Delisle, that records to tape. There's a lot of bands that recorded there because it's a cool thing to do. It's ballsy, right? Because your performance has to be on.
Oh, and yeah,
it's not
like this. That does it like currently right now.
Yeah.
Do you know what it's called?
Off the top of my head, Sinewave.
Sinewave
Studios.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like the Shooting Guns. That album that they got nominated for the Juno or whatever, it was actually recorded to tape, I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on that, but it's like they were out there around the time that I was working with the guy that was in that studio. And it's pretty neat because you get that, almost anxiety on tape because you're like, oh, I'm recording to this substance that's running out. You only get so many takes. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's not like there's a lot of people who just go and make tape now. Like, it's a specialty thing, so it's an expensive process for like street cred.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's the same as shooting on film. Like that's one thing at school. Like I never became one of those people. Maybe if I was born like a few years earlier and I went to school a little bit earlier, then I might have switched over. But I was like I never got to the point where I didn't enjoy digital, like shooting digitally. Like I still think it's just better in every way.
Well, it's so much. The workflow is so much easier. Well,
Well,
not
it's-
easier. It's like it's more. You can do more with digital. You can just do more with it. It gives you
It's just like
more freedom.
I just don't see the benefit at this point in the game. I don't see the benefit of shooting on film. It's kind of equivalent. I say it's like shooting on film now for the benefits it provide is like buying a vinyl. It's like there's no actual benefit to buying a vinyl. It's like some people like it and it has a certain sound to it and it has a certain organic nature to it, and some people get it and they love it. But it's like in terms of just scientific fact, there's nothing better. There's just not a better thing. And it's the same thing with film. It's like film has a look to it. It has a feel to it. And it has its qualities, but it doesn't shoot in a higher resolution. It doesn't capture the moment any better. It doesn't
Yeah.
There's no scientifical. It's just like you either see it or you don't.
It's a parallel to those like that artisan resurgence where everyone wants like handmade stuff, and I do carpentry as well, and it's you can take a piece of wood and you can use a hammer and a chisel to shape it, or you could get a Dremel, or you can get a chainsaw. Each one of those things is the next kind of step up for carving, right? And it's like you could do it with a knife and a good man and a knife in lots of hours, or you can use steps, time-saving things. Same thing, even cutting a 2x4. You could cut it with a handsaw, or you could use a skill saw. They both give you the same end result, but one just saves you a whole fucking bunch of time.
Yeah, and it's like I guess the only difference is, are you the type of person that you want to be able to tell people the story of? Oh, I carved this with a chisel and a hammer,
I made this out of my pinky bone.
Yeah, it's like I'm now 69 years old. 69 years old. That I just weird. But anyways, I'm 69 years old, and I made this table. Like this is all this is what I did. And this was my whole life.
Where's that fucking one artist I read that Vice article about, who had to get like his hip bone removed for cancer, and he like ate it.
Oh, I did read that too. That was fucked up.
Jesus.
Where'd that come from?
Well, it just made me think of like artists and I don't know. I just saw the article again on Facebook, and I was like,
oh, that article
is
was
so
very
fucked.
upsetting to me.
That is,
He cooked it into like a stew, and he ate his own hip bone.
He ate his own cancer.
He's like, yeah, it's like it was like part of the healing process for me. He's like talking about how it's like he's like a performance artist. He's talking about how he's like, this is part of like my greater performances in my life. And
Well,
like,
he's doing a bunch of other stuff.
he's
too.
like, he's getting all of his whole like body. He's gonna be tattooed. He's like, I want my family to like take my skin and
he's one of those
stretch it, tan it, and like.
I think that'll probably be like a thing. Like when
For
our generation's all old, and you'll be like, oh, and then there's Grandpa.
There's my grandpa's skin on
It's
the
all
wall.
salted
But
out.
I mean, it's like totally, because like the culture on tattoos has
Well, the money you spend on them, I mean, I can at least understand that part of it.
yeah,
Eating your own fucking hip bone because of art.
that's just fucked up.
It's like basically the article equated to. It's like, so tell us what you did. Well, my hip bone was removed and I ate it. Why? Because art. That was the.
So is he a cannibal? Or does
They-
it count
they
if
were-
it was already inside
he
him?
would technically be an auto cannibal.
They were discussing. They were trying to figure out what his exact thing would be. But yeah, he ate himself.
Auto cannibal.
He ate people.
He did eat people.
Well, there's that documentary that we watched with the German guy.
I
The
don't want
German
to watch.
cannibal.
I'm done with that bullshit. I'm done with it. I'm
The
done with
creepy,
fucked
weird
up shit. I want to live
I'm
my
not.
life
I'm
like
not.
a 40s family who are trying to achieve the American dream. I wake up. I have my bran flakes. I have my coffee. I go to work. I have a newspaper that I read. Everything is in black and white.
You're gonna have
it's
to
beautiful.
You're gonna have to start waking up
Pleasantville.
like about 10 hours earlier to achieve that.
I mean, if I don't have to watch any more fucking cannibals on the internet, then sure.
Well, to be clear, we're not watching these people eat people. We're watching a documentary with interviews about these people.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's just so upsetting. It's just, it's so easy to get like just wrapped up in your own little bubble. That's like, oh, this is what humanity's like, and this is what we're capable of, and like, we're not capable of these great horrors and evils.
Yeah.
And then it's like you take a step back, and it's like, in the 40s, they were putting people in gas chambers and killing them in droves. There are people who eat other people. There are people who've cut their own dicks off. Like, human beings are capable of weird, fucked up shit. I just don't.
Infinitely capable.
Infinitely. Like, we can do anything we want to ourselves and others, and it's just awful. The fact that we have not nuked ourselves into oblivion, that's nuts to me. It's nuts. It's total.
Self-preservation is such a thing. Like, I don't.
But it takes one nut job. It takes one guy who's like, I don't give a fuck. I want to see the world burn, and he just needs to launch one fucking nuke.
But what about the Russian?
Chain reaction.
What about the Russian guy who didn't launch the nuke during the Cold War?
There's a guy who didn't launch a nuke.
Yeah, that hero. I can't remember his name, but he's like.
He's a hero because he didn't launch a nuke.
No, he is. He had the orders to launch.
Oh, to launch and then he didn't.
But he didn't.
Did they make a movie about that?
It was in a movie.
Oh.
It was in actually X-Men. One of the recent X-Men.
Well, First Class, I guess.
First Class,
That's the one
yeah.
with the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's that part where they're like, fuck
Yeah, that was a real guy who didn't.
The whole
Yeah,
fucking.
yeah.
Well, I would say the fucking. The Doctor Strangelove, like, that's basically the whole thing. Except I think the Russian guy does end up launching the nuke at the end of that one. But there's like, because I think they're in a plane, I want to say, and they've got a nuke or something. And then in this plane they have in Doctor Strangelove, in the plane they have the launch codes, and then they're all in the plane because it's such a weird thing because they had in that movie it's like they get the order to like launch the nukes, and then apparently they're supposed to go radio silent then and like not have any contact. It's like once you get that order, it's like you don't want somebody to compromise it on the ground because you don't know what's happening. So you go radio silent. You're like, you have those orders, you go for it, and nobody can tell you to stop at that point. And it's like. It's scary. And it was like them in the plane. Mm-hmm. They were like, well, should we get confirmation? They're like, well, we're not supposed to get confirmation. It's like, we just got to launch nuke. They're like, yeah, but that's the end of the planet. And it's like, I don't fucking know. For it. Yeah. Yeah, Doctor Strangelove is...
It's been a while since I've seen that.
It's alright.
I don't even know what that is.
It's one of Stanley Kubrick's like really early movies.
It's very much a cult classic, yeah.
Interesting.
It's... I don't know. I hadn't seen it till pretty recently, like probably a year ago I watched it, and I watched it again kind of more recently. But I have a friend who really, really oversold it to me.
Yeah, Thomas really likes that movie.
Thomas really oversold it to me, and then I watched it, I'm like, this isn't really that funny.
Yeah, when he told me to watch, he's like, it's one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. And I'm like, you know what's one of the funniest movies I've ever seen is Step Brothers. That's one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. That's the thing,
is like
this was okay.
It's like... I think that's a big problem with me in comedy movies. It's like some people will watch a comedy movie and there's one funny part in it, and then they'll come and they're like, "Oh, it's hilarious." It's like, and then they have one scene that they can quote, and it's like that's not a funny fucking movie. If a movie that's supposed to be funny is funny once, that's not a funny movie. It's like Step Brothers, funny throughout the whole length. The entire movie's funny. Wedding Crashers, the entire length throughout the whole movie, it's funny. Just Hangover, same thing. It's like these are funny movies. Like I don't know.
Dynamically
funny. Mm-hmm. You can't have one good joke.
It's true.
Else you're dead in the water. Really?
Yeah. I'm trying to... Yeah, and that's... There's been a fucking rash of comedy movies recently.
Mediocre comedy movies, too.
Well, to be fair, usually they have 2 or 3 jokes. But still, if you're laughing 3 times in a movie that's supposed to be funny, like, that's not good.
I don't remember the last time I saw, like, a new comedy movie that I actually thought was funny.
Super funny.
I just figured I was like jaded and
cynical,
out of it, and been on the ranch too long. So.
Like what? Yeah, you don't see a lot of movies though, and you don't want like you don't even have, you don't have a TV out there, do you?
No, I don't.
You don't have a TV, and you don't have
internet.
Like no internet.
Well, there's like a corner of the house where you can get service
if
you have to.
Yeah.
It's not a convenience. No.
When's the last time you were in a movie theater and saw a movie?
That would have been like 7 years ago. Yeah.
Jesus. And do you remember the movie you saw?
I'm pretty sure it was Inception was the last movie that I went to the theater.
At least that's a good movie to see in theaters. That's a good theater experience.
Yeah,
wow.
That was like, maybe even longer than that then. Cause
no, 2010. You nailed it. 2010 was Inception.
Yeah.
Wow.
Huh?
Like we haven't gone to the movie theater in like a couple weeks. I'm like, dang, I really need to go see a movie.
And I just saw. What's the last movie I saw?
Atomic Blonde. You said.
Yeah, I guess that would have been the last movie I saw.
Last week.
Don't see Atomic Blonde. P.S. Not worth it. Weird, convoluted plot. And don't get me wrong, I love Charlize Theron, like just patriotically, but don't see that movie.
Inception. That's so interesting. That's. Yeah, I can't imagine not watching movies. I mean, it's different for us because like that's like what we fucking do,
it's your
obviously.
passion.
But
No, I
it's probably really good for your career. Like you probably do
a lot of shit.
Do a lot of shit.
Oh yeah, no, it narrows your focus, right? Like if you minimize your distractions.
Well, no, I was thinking about this the other day. Was it today or yesterday? Because you were. I think it was yesterday because I was just thinking about you coming down and what we were gonna do, and I was just thinking how nice it would be to just do basically like a writer/work retreat.
Yeah.
At your ranch and just go for like 3 or 4 days, and then what? Because we started talking. This is a goal of mine now because I've been thinking recently about kind of just focus and like what to focus on in the next couple of years of my life or whatever. I was just talking to my lady friend, and she kind of told me she said she has the next like two people said this to me very similarly, and it got me thinking. But anyways, she said to me she has the next like year of her life kind of figured out, and then after that, no fucking clue.
Yeah.
But she's like, she doesn't even think about after that. She's like, she's got it figured out up until a year, and that's good. And she's got that figured out. And then my buddy Russell said kind of a similar thing, but I think he said he's got like 3 years figured out or something. He's like, I got the next 3 years figured out, and after that, no fucking clue. And I'm like, my goals are usually so. I have like all these goals of what I want to do in my life and what I want to figure out, and it's like sometimes I struggle to focus. And then I was thinking maybe it'd be nicer to just nail down like 2 years. Like, what do I want to have done in 2 years? What's one thing?
Well, yeah, man, bite-sized goals. It's so important, right?
Yeah, and then I was thinking about feature films. Then I'm like, that's the goal. It's like one feature film in 2 years. Like that's the goal, and that's what I'm gonna work towards, and that's what I'm gonna focus on. And all the little things that come in between that. But it's like, I feel like, yeah, like you said, bite-sized goals, like just with life. Because we all got to live life and we all got to die. We all got to figure out how to waste our time between now and death.
Well, and
so it's like, it'd be nicer to,
right?
Yeah,
you know
and like how to distract
like,
yourself.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice if you cut your life into year or 2 year segments, and then you're like, you just focus on the next 2 years, and that's it.
Yeah.
You don't think about shit. I mean, like, obviously you want to do prudent planning and that kind of shit, but I mean, mostly it's like, you got this goal, work towards your goal, finish that.
Man, yeah, I totally subscribe to that. Like, I do a similar thing. I got stuff that I need to do, like, within the year, 5-year plan, 15-year plan, you know, especially with, like, the ranch stuff. You know, you look at the barn, you're like, yeah, that needs to be fixed, but then you need budget, you know what I mean? So, like, if you actually plan and allocate budget when you have a framework, right? It's like you can save money to do those projects or, you know, whatever. And you can always fast track it, I find, when you hit like renaissance periods of your life where you're just all of a sudden you're inspired to work like a dog on something, right? And 2 weeks you just gained like 6 months worth of progress on a certain aspect. But you can never predict when that happens, you know?
Yeah, no, that's a really...
You have to set yourself up to...
Yeah.
Be able to do that, because if you're not in a position to even reach that period, then you're not gonna
be able to channel it. Yeah, well, and having a lifestyle that enables you to, like, if you're inspired, just be like, I don't have to go to the library and work as a clerk. You know, it's just having that freedom to take your inspiration and run with it rather than.
Well, I definitely think, like, especially with us, like, and myself specifically, I find that I'm really good at, like, idea generation. Like, I can come up, like, I have all these things, like, that would be so good, and this and this and this, and then when it comes to follow through, I lack a lot of focus there, because I go and I'm thinking, you know what, like, I should work on something. It's like, what should I work on? And then I spend like an inordinate amount of time trying to, like, figure out what of my numerous, like, things I'm writing or ideas I've got that I should be, like, which one should I be trying to, like, push forward today? And I feel like, to your point about a retreat, I feel like, especially with what we're doing, the goals that we have creatively, and like what it takes to create a feature film or a show or any of the number of things that we want to do down the line, I feel like that's like an essential thing that we're going to have to do is, like, just pick a time, pick a place, like Pie Pot might be decent, or I think actually your ranch would be fucking dope. Just because it's so removed.
Yeah,
It's so
exactly.
much like.
Well, it's like when you take a
Lacking
vacation
instructions.
too, right? Like the concept of vacation is funny because it's been commercialized, but like at the end of the day, vacation's when you just like do something for yourself, right? And so, and
That's a good point.
from an artist standpoint, it's like I don't have to go down to Cabo and be at an all-inclusive resort. You know, like that's not my ideal vacation. It's like I'd probably just like to go somewhere out in the mountains, go for a hike, write about it, go for a swim, you know, or even just travel somewhere in Canada, somewhere different, just to get your brain going a different way.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm
You
with
know?
you. Because that's the thing I've been thinking about a lot is like the notion of vacationing and taking vacations, especially like very recently, is a very recent concept. Like people being able to vacation is incredibly recent. Like and like in terms of like going to Mexico
Two
and
generations
going to
recent,
and
you know,
going
yeah.
internationally. Like there was like in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, fucking 60s, you couldn't go to Europe. Like if you lived here, it's like you that wasn't an option. Like,
It was crazy. It was people did it, but it was like this crazy fucking thing. It's like I'm gonna go seek my fortune in Europe. It's like what the fuck are you talking about, motherfucker? Like you're gonna go to another continent?
And it's like if you were doing that, you were leaving everything.
That's what I
behind.
mean.
Like
It
it's
was-
like you're
it
not
wasn't
coming.
a
That's not a
vacation.
vacation. You're not coming back.
It is a lifestyle that you are
Or
choosing. Like I'm
you're
gonna be
going
a
to war.
traveler.
If you don't
And
get
you're
scurvy
probably
and
not coming
die on the trip.
Yeah, like so that's what's crazy. It's like vacation seems like this thing that we've been fed, just because like we're pretty young in terms of shit, but we've been fed sort of the notion since we've been young that vacationing is this essential, even just subconsciously. Like people don't tell you that you have to vacation, but it just seems like throughout like school and everything, it's like you are going to school so you can go to school to get a job. But really, it's like you're getting that job so you can save up some money so you can go on a vacation.
So you
like
can take your kids to Disneyland.
Yeah, that is the maximum your life will achieve is going on these vacations. It's like you're fed this, and it's like you don't even think about it when you're young because it's like you don't fucking give a shit. But then when you finally get to an age where it's like you feel like you're like, oh, maybe I should go to Mexico for a week because you're like I don't know what I'm doing
I
right now. And
deserve
it's
a
like,
vacation. I've been working really hard.
And
You
it's
know?
like-
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like it's such a weird, especially, and I feel like for us just doing what we're doing, like it's a completely different thing for somebody who's working a shit 9-to-5 office job, doesn't give a fuck about what he's doing. Like for that guy, that's a completely different circumstance. Like I understand why that guy needs to go to Mexico for 2 weeks. Like he needs to drink some fucking tequila and some beers, swim in the ocean, get wasted. Like he needs that and he deserves it. And I salute you because you make this fucking world run. But people like us, where it's like what our whole thing is trying to make our lives as enjoyable as they can be by doing things we enjoy doing as frequently as we can do them, and trying to make a business out of it. Whereas, like, I feel like most people feel like that's not even an option. But I feel like we've, just because we're very lucky in where we grew up, and just what our parents fed us mentally, like
set of circumstances.
and and the support we've had is like we've decided we were like, you know what, we're gonna make a go of it, trying this stuff and like trying to be happy.
Entrepreneur.
I really like that term because I know we've talked about this before, not maybe on camera, but I think that's a really interesting distinction that you make yourself as an artist that makes it really pleasurable to deal with you because you actually like you understand that it's a business, you understand that it's not just like I need to be like a fucking artist and have so much integrity and that's all that matters. Not that it doesn't matter, but like there's with a business there's compromise. If you're trying to make something commercially viable, there's compromise
and you just have
Yeah.
it's learning to play in a different set of rules, right? Like if you're making art for art's sake and you can afford to, that's fantastic. But if you want to do it and have a sustainable, you can just feed yourself, have a coffee in the morning. You have to figure out how to make $50 a day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, really.
Yeah, no,
you know?
totally. Yeah.
So if you say, well, how do you make $50 a day doing music? You could busk, yeah. How long is that going to stay interesting for? And are you still going to have fun? Are you still going to be passionate? Probably not.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to give people something they're not asking for, being a busker, right? Like they're walking by and you're trying to sell them something that they didn't come there to see.
No, and it'd be so. I feel like being a busker to an extent
It'd be
could
so
be so
crushing.
disheartening
Yeah.
because it's like you could go play this song that you've been working on for however long, and you play it for this first song, and you're like, man, this is the one. I feel like this is going to get their attention. And then if it doesn't necessarily get their attention, then it's like, well, fuck.
Yeah.
And it's like, it could just be because the day, the people that were there, like, it has, it's just, that's totally circumstantial. Like, there's just, like...
Well, I've seen homeless, like, players, and I'm not, I guess I'm making a snap judgment and saying that they're homeless, but by the looks of them, they're homeless in Vancouver, and they're, like, as far as musicians, like, incredible players, talented people, like, soulful voices, like, but why are they there, right? And then addiction's probably a factor in a lot of those circumstances, but you have to approach things being a resourceful, and B, like, what's the next step, right? Not just what you're going to do that day. And so if you take that baseline $50 and say you made $50 busking, how many days do you have to make $50 busking to pay for a $100 recording?
Mm-hmm.
Well, so 2 days busking, you could, or I say 3, feeding yourself, you could make a recording, right? And then you could start with the internet, go to the public, just access your resources and think of it as a means to an end rather than just like art for art's sake. But like you say, it's two different schools of thought, right? And I respect people who do art for art's sake because
it's just such a different world.
It's so much more soul exposing in one way,
and thankless, I think, a lot of the time too.
Probably, I would say I think more gratifying, honestly. Like if you are totally doing art solely just to sort of get your own shit out there. Yeah, basically, it's like my little sister, I think, does this a lot. Like she does commission painting sometimes, but my little sister, most of the time when she's painting, she's just painting to paint. Like she's painting whatever's in her head to get it on a canvas or whatever, and she does it like to feel good about, like, just get it out, and then she feels good about herself, and it's great. And yeah, and I think that is, and if I think about myself, the things that I always feel best about is when it's like, oh, I've wanted to do this for years, and then I just do something like that, and then it's like, this feels super gratifying because it's like something that has been encompassing or whatever. But once again, it's like it's tough. Like some people luck out hard. Well, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know if that's a thing.
I feel like doing those kind of projects are key, even if you're trying to meet an end. So you have to have some of that, like that passion and that those,
raw
those
ideas, right? And that comes like you said, having all the skits and like stuff that when you're generating ideas, it's fantastic that fountain's still flowing, right? But you gotta organize it, right? And organization is often like the killer of fun, sometimes. But like, for instance, the album that I released last time I talked to you guys, like it was all voice notes on my phone that when I was playing in a rock band, they weren't songs that were suitable for the band. So I took all those parts and made a kind of record out of it, but I had them cataloged because it's like, oh, those are cool. I'll use those someday, right? And then someday finally came, and I could go back to that straight catharsis, make it into essentially a product and run with it, and the ideas were preserved. You know what I mean? Which is kind of tricky to do, right? And especially with you lose your phone. I keep everything in my voice notes, right? And it's like, so if I lost my phone, it'd be like losing part of my central nervous system. I'd be just bummed out. But
when I was in Vancouver, and I think I probably told the story on the podcast a couple times now, but I'll tell it again. My first and second year, my house got broken into once both years. So twice total, but once both years. And both times, well, the first time actually I didn't get any shit stolen. My roommate got a bunch of shit stolen. And it was the second time when they broke in, stole a bunch of my shit. But the big thing was, at that time I was writing a feature film script. And I'd finished the feature film script that I was working on. Not finished, sorry. I'd finished it, but it's like it was the first draft. Yeah, it wasn't. I hadn't gone back, but it's like it was a full script, and took me weeks and weeks and weeks to make this thing. I was super proud of it. Anyways, guy broke in, stole my laptop. That's where it was. Gone. Thought it was gone. I was like, that fucking sucks. Like I got nothing, and it's like you try to remember scenes, and you're like, I just can't. Like I don't even want to try to fucking remember what I what I had on there.
It'd never be good.
Yeah,
as we're trying to recreate. Right?
Yeah, and it's like then luckily like
You
anyways,
emailed it to.
I had emailed them, but I didn't remember that I had done that. But so it was like like a year and a half later, like 2 years later or whatever. I was not even thinking about it, and I'd totally moved on past that script at that point. But anyways, I just went through my old emails that I had, and then I was like, oh shit, look at that. I emailed them. It wasn't the full thing. It was like, I think it was like half of it. But still, it was something, and I'm like, I'm glad I still have a piece of that thing that I lost. And it's like, and there's still like, there's pieces of it that I like, and then maybe it can be worked into other stuff and shit. So that's good, but that was very disheartening.
Yeah. Oh, I just, over time, over having different phones, like I used to have a flip phone, and there's still, like, I still go through the ideas from that phone on occasion, you know what I mean? And I have everything on a hard drive and then in a cloud. And
yeah.
It's just like, I learned to do that, and then whenever you do hit those points where you're not generating ideas, you got stuff to refer back to that you can put together. You can start actually doing something with the ideas instead of just having them, right? But then there'll be days where it's like you just write a riff. Oh, that's cool. And then he got 16 riffs from just sitting down one day on the couch with the cats, and you're like, oh, cool, right? And then what the fuck do you do with all these? And then, maybe they'll fit into something sometime.
Yeah.
But as long as you stay organized, you can access your own resources. But it's tricky.
Yeah, no, organized. Especially, I guess, like for independence, like we all are. It's like you kind of figuring it out all by yourself. Like you're not.
We should actually like legitimately plan a retreat and do that in the near future.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like at this point there's there's one project that I really need to fucking just get done. But that's one of those things that it's like I just need to for like a week spend 12 hours a day doing this. Like, and that's it. That's all I do for a week for 12 hours because it's like it's just like there's no way around it. Like that's the only way it's getting done, and like that's the only way because it's not feasible to spend 4 hours here and there. Like it's just it's
you just can't get your head into it.
No, I can't, and it's one of those things too that it's like stylistically, it needs to look the same and it needs to have a similar feeling to it throughout. And so if I don't do it all in one go, my style is going to change and my the techniques I learned is going to change, and then certain shit is not going to look right with other shit. And like,
same as recording a song. As a vocalist, like your voice actually changes because it's an organic, living, throbbing instrument. You know what I mean? Throbbing instrument.
Nice. Podcast 69, ladies and gentlemen. Man, I fucking spit everywhere right there.
That was fucking disgusting.
69.
What was I saying?
Your voice organically changes.
Oh yeah,
throbbing instrument.
Throbbing instrument.
Anyways, so your voice actually changes. So if you don't do all your vocal takes, say on an album or an EP, all kind of at the same time, you sound different every couple months. And I've just noticed that.
Think of that.
Yeah, just doing, and it's not major, but it's a continuity thing, right?
Yeah.
So if you can't nail the takes, and then you come back and you do half of them later, and you try to, just with anything editing, right? And you try to splice them together, it's like you can hear that one's a bit different. Maybe it had like a little bit of like mucus in this sinus or something, whatever, right? But it's just a bit different.
Yeah.
And your brain kind of just picks it up, especially if you're the one making it because you're hyper focused on it.
Yeah, no, totally. That is another thing to remember. It's like those stylistic differences I was talking about. Like maybe I would be the only one who would notice.
But it was still faster for you for the rest of your life. You'd be like, no!
Well, it's the thing. Like what I'm terrified of whenever I release a video is if like 3/4 of the way through me working on like something that's really effects heavy or something, I learn a new technique that would have made the shit before look way better, and I'm like, fuck. Is this like, do I go back and fix the shit from before that I know how I would have done it better, or do I just continue, or do I now purposely fuck up the shit, like the last quarter of the stuff to make it all look the same, or like it's like I hate that. Like that is one of the most terrifying things, especially that we did that Pistol Whips video, and luckily I didn't have a moment like that. But I was so scared of working on that because it was a lot of processes like that went it was like, do this first, then this, then this, then this, then this, then this, and then you get the final product. I was terrified of figuring out something midway through that would make one thing look better or something, and it's like, fuck, like I gotta go back and render all this bullshit again. And it's like, so yeah, like, and that's the thing with After Effects is like I'm constantly, while I'm working on shit, what I do to take breaks usually, if I'm having like an 8-hour, 12-hour stint of doing shit, I'll take like a 15-minute break and I'll just watch tutorials, After Effects tutorials, to like just get myself inspired again. Because like tutorials for me, like with this effect shit, is a great way to be inspired because it's like it'll just make you remember why. Because it's cool because you're like, oh fuck, I could do that crazy thing that I wasn't even thinking about, and then you start thinking about future videos you could do, and you're like, okay, this video is a stepping stone to the next video or whatever. Mm-hmm. And but one of these days it's gonna happen. I'm gonna be working on something, and then I'm gonna fucking have to redo the whole thing. But whatever.
So you said that the first Scraps was very much like these notes and bits and pieces that you had that you kind of put together, hence the name. What was different about the process that you had for that album versus, like, obviously it's a totally different process because you're creating something totally new, but how did you go about this new album?
Yeah.
And what's the new album called?
The new album will be called Lumen Nature, which is like a Latin phrase for like the light of like life energy within you. Cool. And it was all actually composed on the keyboard. Like I wrote all the parts on the keyboard, which I just learned to play properly. Not even properly, but in the last 2 years I've been kind of just teaching myself as I go. And so it's a lot more approach as like a composer would do something. Is I have a concept, and then I'm like, how would I score that? That was kind of how I went after that stuff. And it was fun, because it was way different than just, looping and doing, like, thinking of it from a performance basis. Because a lot of what I did on this, the record that I'm working on, is impossible to do live without a full band. Mm-hmm. Anyways, it's too complex. There's too many layers, but it's my friend Cole used to be the bass player in Bastard Poetry. We had a talk once upon a time about songs and paintings, right? And it's like, so people criticize people, well, that didn't sound like it live, like the recording. Mm-hmm. But nobody ever looks at a painter and says, well, that painting doesn't look like it was done in front of an audience. It's the end result is far more immortal than the actual individual. Mm-hmm. So I approached this set of recordings as without the ego of being like, well, I'm not going to be able to do it live, so I'm going to cut that part, even though it's cool. Mm-hmm. I just left all that shit in because it's, it's a more cinematic approach than necessarily live performance.
And I think that's totally valid. You can't fucking throttle your music just like so you can play. Like it's like, and that's so weird. That's such a unique position you're in, because it's like I think about other like people who started, who have had a huge sound but started small. Like, and I like the only ones I can think of are like dubstep artists. Like you think about Skrillex and how he started. And it's like massive sound. Yeah. But he doesn't really have to do anything live. Like he just has to like.
He's doing okay.
Just has to,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, and he's doing fine. But with you, it's like because you have real instruments in there. But you right this second, you don't have the capability of
hiring a band
and like having this full sound that you have that you're doing right now. But it's like, but I mean, fuck it. To me, it's like make the music and then
figure the rest of the shit out.
If people enjoy it, that's the thing is like if you throttle it, then maybe you're gonna lose that audience that would have loved it. But this way, it's like maybe make that music, then get the audience, and then if you get the audience, you get the money, then you can start touring and doing
kind of the trick,
doing the music justice.
Yeah.
And I mean before until then, you can just be like, I'm doing acoustic sets,
acoustic
like that basically
renditions.
Acoustic renditions. Yeah. You can frame it that way, and then it's like.
Plus, it's so different because like spoilers, I guess, but hearing Chrysalis and then hearing the acoustic version of Chrysalis, it's like not that I don't hear both. I hear those almost as two separate songs.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like I love them both for different reasons, and I feel like that almost kind of maximize like it you're kind of doubling down because you got this, like you were saying, like this big cinematic album that people can listen to and enjoy there, and you got this other thing, this stripped down version that is way more intimate. It's more like,
and that's
it's its own thing. I don't think there's any. I think
totally right, and I think going to a live show and expecting to hear them play 15 recordings in a row. Like, why do you want to see that, right? Like, you can listen to the recordings for audio fidelity. It's like the live show, it needs to be, I think, from my perspective, different than the album. And B, like, who cares if they don't sound like that?
Well, look at what Everlast did when he, like, revitalized his career, right? Like, he found that home in doing acoustic performances of, like, his songs, covers, all that kind of shit, just because it does connect with people in a way that is totally different than you're going to achieve with an album and a big sound.
And if you go to see it like a pop star, and I'm not bragging on the pop industry by any means, but so would you rather see someone perform their song perfectly to a backing track, or someone play a version of their song with real instruments that isn't on the recording? So you're actually seeing a unique and special experience that's outside of, and maybe that's just different, the way different artists want to portray themselves.
Absolutely. One thing that I saw, I think it was a couple years ago, I can't remember where they played live, but the band was Imagine Dragons, and I saw them on TV, and they played live somewhere.
God.
And it was so fucking bad. It was like, because the thing is, they tried to reproduce sounds that can't be reproduced live. And it was like
just bad.
And it was like, and the guy's voice is so manipulated, and it's like I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily. Lots of good music is that way, done that way. A lot of manipulation. Like I have no problem with people manipulating their voice in post or whatever to make music. Like, it doesn't matter to me. But they couldn't reproduce what they were trying to do live, but that's how they do. At Imagine Dragons concerts, that's what they do. They have their one fucking cool shtick in all their music is they have the fucking massive drum and the bump, 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 and like, that's fucking cool. But then all the rest of their music is like this, crazy, I don't know how they make the sounds, but all done in a computer. And then they're trying to reproduce it with all these live instruments, and then also, like, I think they got a guy there trying to mix stuff at the same, it's like, and then the guy's voice is not modulated in the same way, and it's like, it all just comes together. It's like, this sounds like hot garbage live. Like, this is too much going on. Like strip down your songs to a drum, a bass guitar, a guitar, and the guy singing, and then give it a go.
And so give us a different experience.
Yeah, and then you can keep the drums. You can keep that big fucking cool drum, because that's what's cool about your music anyways. But when we were talking about different, and like an acoustic, like you saying that, I'm doing an acoustic rendition or an acoustic whatever. For me, that's way cooler. Like the more different an acoustic version sounds than the whatever normal version or whatever you want to call it, the recorded version, way better. Like, one of my favorite acoustic songs ever is "The Bleeding" by Five Finger Death Punch, and like they have an acoustic version that's incredibly popular, and they have the recorded version. Sounds like two different songs when you listen to it. The one is like heartbreaking, and the other one's like, "Fuck you, bitch, you fucking fucker." It's like two totally different feelings when you listen to the songs, but it's the same fucking song, same lyrics, and it's wonderful. And those are, to me, the best acoustic renditions, is when you're getting a totally different experience listening to it in this different way, kinda. And I don't know, because I don't want to hear the song, because I feel like some people.
I think about the bands that like when we went to go see Weezer live, I just wanted to hear all the songs that I knew and sing along. Like, that's what I wanted to do when I see Weezer, and that's what I got. And it was a great concert because I heard all those songs live, and they sounded almost exactly what they
and they can reproduce their music key for key. Like, it's not.
So that totally works. Like any band like that, it's like I want to experience like the energy of being there with a bunch of people who like that music. Experience the energy of the band, like Metallica. We're gonna go see Metallica.
Yeah, it's gonna be incredible.
It's gonna be incredible. We're seeing them on Monday, and it's like of course, they're going to play exactly what they would have played.
Yeah, they're going to throw some solos in there, but I mean, like, but I want to see Metallica be Metallica. Like, I want to listen to Metallica as if they're on. See, and once again, they're a band that can fucking do that because it's fucking drums, it's a bass guitar, it's a guitar, and it's James Hetfield and another guitar. Like, it's not. That's the way they started it. Was like.
They were a band that played live.
Yeah, like that was it. And I mean, that's just a different
It's
thing.
two different realms, yeah, 100%. Because with the project that I am currently doing, it could be a full band thing. Like I literally just wrote and played all the parts, all the instruments except for the drums, which Greek Beverage did a fantastic job on.
Agreed.
And honestly, like, it could be performed because they are, there's a couple of synth pads, but you wouldn't notice them, you know what I mean, if they weren't there live, right? Because all the melody and all the vital parts are all on real instruments pretty much. So
it's still a doable thing.
Yeah, but if you don't have the resources, so as an independent, and I live in the middle of nowhere with, like, no people to play with and no one to make a band with, is it like, so you just say, well, I'm just gonna not make this because I can't do it? Or do you, like you say, you push that cart way in front of the horse?
Yeah,
catch up, fucker.
It's just an interesting question to ask that nobody fucking asks. I don't think, because it's like people just expect that if they hear music on the radio and they go get tickets to the live show, it should sound. They're just like, it should sound the same. Like, that's just an expectation by people.
I think it's one.
And it's like
it's one born out of only knowing one type of experience in music. Like the bands we were talking about, like the ones that can exactly reproduce what they can do in the studio, and that's fine. That's great. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think that what you're talking about is a totally
music is just
different, interesting experience. I think people should open themselves up to more because, like you said, like, you don't criticize a painter because they didn't paint the painting in front of a live audience, right? Like, these two experiences are different, and it's good that they're different, and we should accept, obviously, but, like, I think seek that out more in artists, especially because when you're dealing with an independent like yourself, as you said, you can either extremely limit yourself or you can do this big thing. I would much rather
show people what's in your head, right?
Exactly.
Rather than hide it.
But if you think about it, I think it's because it's so new. Music, the way you went about getting music made has evolved so greatly in the last 10 years. It's like, if we go back to the 90s, you had to start a band and play shows, try to fucking figure out a way to record a demo to send to a studio, then you could produce some music. But now, Alex, at his home with a computer, he can produce something that people in the 80s, 90s, they couldn't fucking dream of doing anything that sounds nearly as good. So it's like, it's just, the way music is produced now has evolved and has become way more accessible to people and, like, to independents, and, like, you can get the fucking ideas in your head out there right away. And it's like, so the thing is, back in the day, people didn't even have the option to do what he's doing. Like, they had to start a band. It's like, I have to have a 4-piece band, because if I don't have a 4-piece band, guess what? Or I have to be a country singer with a guitar.
And I guess because it's not as a visual medium like video, because, like, I feel like the shift in content consumption with video has gone steadily with the way that we create it as well. Like, people are far more open to, like, finding content on YouTube and not through non-traditional sources with video. I don't know if it's the same with music as much anymore.
It seems like people are pretty stubborn.
It seems like people still get a lot of their music through, like, very traditional sources.
Big channels. Right?
Big channels, and they still control a lot of what people listen to in a lot of ways. Not that there aren't other workarounds, but I still think that, like, the majority of stuff is pretty traditional, whereas with video, that's being toppled. Like, with Netflix and all the avenues you can go through on the internet that are totally viable, and you can actually make money doing them as well. It's not... Like, with music, I feel like a lot of the independent sources for just getting your music out there kind of limit your ability as an artist to actually generate income in a lot of ways.
And I mean, the one huge difference, I guess, between video and music is music, you play live shows. Video, we don't have that. Like, when we make a video, there's no equivalent of us doing a live show.
Yeah. And honestly, like, in my experience as an independent, like, all revenue comes from the live show.
Yeah.
Like 99.9%.
Because that's where you're selling your merch. That's where you're selling your
everything, right? You get the tickets or whatever your deal is with the venue. You get that money. You get your merch sales and like CDs. You know, it's basically like a business card in today's day and age, right? Like it's someone will buy it to help you out, and then they might throw it in their car or whatever. But like if someone's actually going to listen to music and put it on their playlist, they're buying it through iTunes or Spotify, or you know, they're going to the Walmart that they know and trust where they can get the music, and they don't have to go to some site they don't know to download because they might get a virus on the phone. You know, and they're going to go to iTunes. You know, if they want it on their playlist and they love the music.
Yeah, it feels kind of, it's weird. It seems to me like independent filmmakers are in this beautiful period right now where independent, young, fucking fresh-faced filmmakers are now able to get access to money, like lots of money. Like if you have a great idea and you pitch it to something like Netflix or whatever, you have the capability of getting lots of money that you can get behind you, and you don't have to be that experienced, or you don't have to have that much shit.
And you don't have to know the right people.
You're like, not really. That's the thing. But it seems with music, it's like it's not quite that way. It's this weird period where it's like, it's easier to make music and get your music out there the way that you and present it in the way that you want to present it. Because it's not like in the 80s and the 90s when it's like you had to...
But since it's easy, the volume's up, right? So it's like, how do you become that one needle in a stack of needles?
And it's like... And it's like you said, it's like, you're not making your money on... Because it's like, I've talked to a few artists about like whose music is on like Spotify and Google Play and like Microsoft Groove and all that stuff. And I'm just like, what? Like, how does it work with the money? Like, do you get money per play, or do you get money or whatever? And they're like, you know what? Honestly, it's like nothing. It's like you just don't. It's not even a factor. It's like you're just not making money
until you're into the millions of plays.
Yeah, it's like 1/100 of a cent. And,
you're not.
There's no standardization either. Like,
and even CD sales. Like, I mean, I imagine they've dropped off significantly. Oh, yeah. Well, obviously, because like back in the day, you had to get CDs to listen to music, and now you don't have to do that anymore. So that's the thing you're saying is like touring is now like touring to you is the way to make
it's
money.
Literally the only way to revenue anything off your music, right? And like like putting the videos out and putting the songs online, like that's great, and it gets you exposure, gets you some plays, and some your friends share it, and it goes organic, you know, and does its thing.
I mean, like hopefully, what would be nice is like, and we've talked about this before. I think we talked about it last time on the podcast. Is just like creating a symbiotic relationship with the people who we make music videos for. It's like if, like, let's say we did a music video for you, and randomly it just took off, and it was like you got millions of views on this one video.
Chrysalis, let's say.
Let's say Chrysalis, or like what? Let's just say. Yeah, let's just throw that out there. And it got millions of views because people just really, they were like, yep, they enjoy the concept or whatever, and they're like, watch this music video, love the song. You could then by that going viral, and by like, let's say you get a following through that, and like then you have this. They're
look at that video that they put out that just like fucking exploded overnight because of Reddit, right? Like it went from like 6,000 views to like
4 million
to 4 million
in 2 days.
Yeah.
But like, let's say, and people have this weird their perception is odd. They're like, well, this is a place I can watch cool videos and listen to cool music. And then you have this, I don't even know what to call it, sort of weird opportunity. Then you're like, I can make revenue off my YouTube channel by putting my music on YouTube with cool videos. And then video guys, and it's like the same thing with us. It's like if we, I don't know, if we grabbed a song,
films,
short film or something, we had music in it.
TV show, web series, anything like that.
And it's like the music essentially got us exposure. People are like, well, watch this video because the music is incredible in it. It's like both things. It's like I said, you're hitting people from two different
Two
way.
different, yeah,
It's
people
like-
who are looking for different things.
Yeah, it's like you could get an audience. Like maybe people like they love the video, and then you're getting people who are like, this video is incredible, and then or people are like, I love the song. It's interesting. So that's why, yeah, I think it's a really good sort of symbiotic relationship, and I think YouTube is cool because it doesn't just benefit us. It doesn't just benefit people who make videos. It can benefit you as well because it's like you need a cool music video.
Yeah.
And you get millions of views, and you could get some revenue from YouTube.
And that's just it. And if somebody thinks it's cool, and they like the song, and then you're on tour, and they heard it, and they're like, oh, I heard that.
Mm-hmm.
I heard that of that person, that individual, that song, whatever reason they go to the show.
Mm-hmm.
Then they're going to either, make the conversion, maybe they'll buy something at the show. Like, that's literally, you're canvassing, doing all this marketing to get people to come to the show, and then that's where you have to make it happen as an artist, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, once you're massive, it doesn't matter, right? Like, people just go to those shows and buy everything.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I was at that Metallica show on that tour, I need to buy that t-shirt, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Which is awesome that they've gotten to that level, and it's, everything's flowing. But as an independent, it's like, you're hoping to get, make 3 or 4 fans, and then hopefully next time you tour through, they come to the same coffee shop that you played, you know what I mean? And
Grassroots comes to mind when you talk about that. Like, it's
Yeah.
literally like building
just pals,
Yeah,
more or
one brick at a
less,
time,
right?
yeah.
Because everybody that you meet at a coffee shop, you talk to for 15 minutes. You hear their life story, and then next time you come through, you're sort of buds, and then over the course of 4 years, all of a sudden you got people in different cities who you just crashed at their house, and they were just at a show once. You know what I mean? Like that's independent music though, right now.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
You just drive around and make friends. That's all. Yeah.
I guess it makes a lot of sense though, because ultimately you want to build your network up as much as you can, and then hope it gets to that point where, and we were talking about this before, like a big part of it is when you get to the level of the caliber that you're at with your music, which I would say is very high. It's not a matter of like, how do I improve a massive amount personally as a musician so I'm good enough to justify whatever. It's how do
asking people to come out.
Exactly. It's like, how do I get this my music heard by the right people that will push it in a way that makes a big difference.
Well, actually, it becomes a sustainable way of making a living.
Yeah, that is the one thing about you coming to, like, I haven't seen you in any other cities, but when you come to Stoon, I get so fucking pissed off. When it's like, and I don't want to say, I'm not going to call anybody out, because it's like, it's nice of people to let you play in their venues or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like, I just see you at some of these venues, and I'm like, fuck this noise. Like, this is not proper. This is not how people should be listening to this. It's like, damn it, get this guy stage, please.
Yeah, and you got to take everything you can get when you're on tour,
Yeah, and it's
right?
like, I just get so
It's the culture of the
bent out of shape.
road dog.
We need to just get in with a venue and just. Cause that's one thing I really want to do is like, and we've talked about this before. We work with so many musicians, and like, the only thing in the province that it's not shitty because the guy just does this passion thing, but that like artist in a room thing that in Regina that guy does, and it's like it's awesome for what it is, but I think we could do something way better. And
What are you talking about right now?
Like doing like a Prehistoric Productions presents like. And finding a space.
Right.
And doing like having like bands who come through.
What did MTV always call theirs? I can't fucking remember.
You might have to do that at Skull Creek
Live and
Studios.
Unplugged.
I was thinking about that actually. Yeah, I thought Skull Creek would be a sweet place for that.
Because it's got lots of
And then there is a brewery in
traffic.
Regina.
There's breweries, the brewery sessions, but they're like
Brewery sessions are cool.
they're way more like. That's like a budget thing,
Yeah.
and like it's
Those are cool. Like I feel like that's more of the type of thing that we aim for.
Exactly that's something like that.
Yeah.
If it wasn't already brewery sessions, I'd be like, oh, Prairie Sun Brewery, that would be a fucking sweet location for that. But no, we just have to find a venue that we can reliably access. That's cool, and we've got everything else we need to do. We got the contact, we got the equipment, obviously. It's just a matter of making it happen.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's a.
Yeah, the venue's always tricky, and they're on the decline.
Is it
places.
raining?
Yep.
Big time raining.
There's a severe thunderstorm warning, so.
Nice.
Hopefully we don't
take the C stands outside and get fucking
Die.
blasted.
Hopefully
What do I want to say now? I wanted to touch on this. I mean, like, we're almost out of time here. Never really found a good segue. But Andrew and I were kind of chatting. We were chatting about feature films the other day. Where were we driving? Oh, to Moose Jaw.
Oh yeah. That's
Anyways, the one thought we had, and we've been saying this for a long time now, is like whenever we do get around to making that feature film or these feature films that we're gonna make, the soundtracks are gonna be so kick ass. It's like we have such a network now of these sweet artists. That it's like, it's like that's one of the things that excites me most. Is just like sitting down and like with all these artists and be like, where the fuck do you think a song of yours could fit in here, and what song do you think could fit in? Like what part of the movie speaks to you for the movie? Yeah,
that's the thing is like we already know all the artists we would actually go to. It's just a matter of like we just need to get our asses in fucking gear.
That's serious.
I kind of want to go and see what the fuck's happening.
Almost. Yeah, we're basically done. We got like another minute here. We could actually fucking peace out.
No, I really think that the whole your point about a symbiotic relationship is a good one. I think that's what we're already working on right now. Like with what we got with the League of Wolves, we got with Alex, and just finding friends that you like to work with, and
that's one thing that excites me so much about this symbiotic relationship is the possibility of, like, let's say we made a movie and we had a kick-ass soundtrack and somebody watched that movie and, like, let's say the movie just got
huge.
It got
a following,
got good enough, but people discovered, let's say, Alex through a movie we made, and they're like, holy fuck,
that would make
that
me feel
song
so happy.
And then they downloaded that song a whole bunch of times, and it's like, because I think about how many times in video games or movies I've heard a song, and then I've discovered a band through that way, and it's like, that would make my life if somebody discovered
one of our favorite bands
through a movie.
The intro to Borderlands.
Oh, nice! Yeah, what song is in the intro to Borderlands?
It's Cage the Elephant's song.
Yeah.
Ain't no rest for the wicked. I don't know if that's the name of the song, but like that was
just
so perfect. You know what I mean? Like it was just.
Yeah, fuck yeah! Oh man, video games like.
Or like NHL 2000 or whatever year that Gob song was the theme song off that. Like I picked that song off that. Tony Hawk 64. Like I downloaded all those songs.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater, man. Like that one the Speed Hammer song we did sounds like like a song you'd hear on Tony Hawk. Totally.
NHL 03 default, Deny by default. I'll always remember that because that man, I fucking went because I was super late to the listening to music game. I think in general, like I just didn't really get into it. I think mostly because my religious upbringing just wasn't a thing. But anyways, a little bit later than everybody else. But yeah, I'll always remember Deny by default because it was one of those first songs that I was like, I love that. I want to fucking download it.
I remember Amp was a big.
Amp had fucking sweet.
Blink-182 and Sum 41 on that. I was just like, I need to like download all this music, and that got me into Green Day. Green Day. And you think about
movies like Dazed and Confused, where the soundtrack is iconic.
That's like one of the. I gotta say that's probably near the top of my list for greatest soundtrack in a movie.
Yeah, and then Guardians of the Galaxy. It's like you have these movies where it's like they're half defined by their soundtrack. Like that's exciting.
Totally, yeah.
But alas, ladies and gentlemen, I think we've come to the end of our rope. So yeah, tweet us your favorite sexual positions. Episode 69, that was the topic of discussion for today. We told you ours. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to find out what your favorite sexual positions are. Thanks very much for watching and listening. Thank you very much, Alex, for coming and joining us again. I can't believe it was 44 the last time you were on. Like I actually thought when we started, I was like, man, maybe he's on too soon again. It's like, that was fucking that was like 25 podcasts ago. That's nuts.
To be fair, that it doesn't feel like as much because the 12 podcasts just feel like a fucking blur.
Yeah, that's true. Like that is basically 2 months of our lives that just go away. Thank you very much for watching. We'll catch you on episode 70 next time.